I'm Stefan, and this is Japan at War. And it's not just any episode of Japan at War. See, I never intended to make this video, but I feel the need to. Now, I've been busy writing for the show, editing videos, and also playing the newest game, Ghost of Tsushima. I've been excited about this game ever since around 2017. And because I've been so busy with the channel and with the game, I didn't get the chance to catch the drama and the controversy that has been going around the internet and specifically Twitter. So this is going to be that video where I rant and rave and talk about a bunch of things. One of the things that really gets me is the amount of bad faith critics there are out there. Now, I'm not a big video game player. I'm really not. Apart from this game, a couple of Elder Scrolls games, I only play Star Wars games, actually. Now, here's the thing that really pisses me off about these bad faith critics. They praise games like The Last of Us Part 2, which I have not played either. But I did Google why people were upset. And it seems to stem from characters doing things that don't make sense that were established in a different storyline. Now, I read a lot of books. And if a book starts off with a character being one way and then changes to a different way, that's bad writing. So I think the problem with that game was bad writing. When I play Ghost of Tsushima, I don't see bad writing. I see a lot of things that, apart from, minor things like cosmetics, are pretty accurate. Now, when I say that these are bad faith critics, I mean, it's all about culture war stuff and politics. I hear people say things like, this game is racist, which blows my mind. I heard someone say that this has something to do with immigration. I can't find the tweet at this time, but I've heard that on other YouTube channels, which blows my mind because when I'm playing this game, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't get it. And going back to the whole thing with The Last of Us Part 2, it seems that the reason why some critics are so hell-bent at defending the game is because of certain cultural things, modern-day things, which, hey, whatever. If that's your thing, do you. I myself, and I won't go into my personal politics, but I would say that a lot of people, if they did hear my personal politics, would probably assume I think a certain way, which I don't. Especially about cultural war issues. And I cannot believe how many tweets I have seen and YouTube comments talking about how this game is racist. Some people are even saying that this promotes Japanese nationalism, which I'm just like, well, how would it not be? And when I say that, I don't mean like, how could it not be nationalistic? I mean, in what context was this game supposed to be written and played for you not to feel that way? For it not to be a Japanese game about samurai? Because guess what? It is. So what? Your complaint really is that this game shouldn't exist. Why? So many people love this game. I love this game. And this goes all the way back to 2018, which is actually something I'm even going to touch on towards the end of this video. In 2018, I want to say it was E3. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not a big video game player, so I saw a bunch of YouTube videos and I liked it, but I don't know what this event is. But there was a man playing a shakuhachi. which is a type of bamboo reed flute. And he played it quite artfully. And a lot of people got pissed off. It blew my mind why anyone would get pissed off. They were saying things like, oh, you should have hired an Asian person to do it. Specifically Japanese, of course. And then they said, I saw this one tweet saying, this man is wearing yellow face, which he's not. He's not wearing yellow face at all. It's so outrageous. Which, by the way, going back to that, because I know I'm bringing up ancient history, although that's predominantly what this channel does. Not only was he never wearing yellow face, but he's one of the living people who can say that they've mastered this instrument and plays quite frequently with other Japanese musicians and has their praise and approval. Which, that's the other thing. There's other tweets talking about how the fact that the Japanese people in Japan like this game is a problem. Which I don't understand. If you're worried about, oh, this is a Japanese stereotype, but then when you ask a Japanese person, what do you think of this game? And they say, this was actually done quite tastefully and respectfully. Thank you. Well, that should be the end of the argument. But obviously it isn't. And I love history. This channel is, of course, based on Japanese history. It is not my only interest, but I will say as far as history goes, it is a predominance of my interests. Now, I see all the time, if you show interest in anything Japanese, you are called weeb, weeaboo, crap like that. And I would like to take a moment and we are going to read the exact definition of a weeaboo according to urbandictionary.com. Weeaboo, a person who retains an unhealthy obsession with Japan and Japanese culture, typically ignoring or even shunning their own racial and cultural identity. Many weeaboos talk in butchered Japanese with the eroso words that they know, i.e. kawaii, desu, ni-chan, etc. While weeaboos claim to love and support Japanese culture, counterintuitively, they tend to stereotype Japanese culture by how it appears in their favorite anime, which can be safely assumed to be offensive to the Japanese. So, I don't necessarily have a problem with that definition. I really don't. I will say that if you're some people I've heard read that and suggest that anime is offensive to Japanese people, which, by the way, most anime is made by Japanese people, which is crazy because I've been called this. In fact, if you go on a lot of the bigger historical YouTube channels, i.e. things like Schologrim, maybe Shadiversity, Scala Gladiatoria, which, by the way, are great channels and I love them personally. And they are not responsible for anything that is said in their chat section. But I see it all the time. It becomes a culture war thing of us versus them. And if you like something that I don't like, you're a weeb. Which blows my mind. It's so weird to me that you can have a healthy respect for something, be called a definition. I just read the definition. It doesn't fit. Sometimes it doesn't fit. If you say, I like katana, it's a decent sword. Weeb. What? How? If you say that it's a decent sword. Now, did I say that I can cut through a freaking King Tiger tank? No. But if you say, I like this sword, you will get called a weeb unless you have tailored your audience. But generally, internet people just come in and just say this kind of crap. And it's the weird thing. You see, these same people are on two sides of the fence on this issue with the game. I've seen some say that, like, well, this game is for weebs. And then instantly when someone says, but it's a good game mechanics, and is respectful to a culture and a time period in actual history, and then they say things like, well, it's racist. And it's, what? And I've seen a couple of them. I'm not saying that there's a lot of it. It just, this, I'm probably going to have to edit this and skip ahead because I know I'm rambling at this point. I would encourage everyone in my audience, if you have a passion for Japanese history and culture, live your life, do you. Do not listen to all these other people, because they will keep saying negative things. They will keep trashing things that you love. Now, obviously, if you are a certain racial ethnicity and have decided that I watch anime and thus I know Japanese because I've watched anime and I know everything there is to know and that's all I need. Look, do what makes you happy, but maybe learn a little bit more, because then you are kind of fitting into that definition. But if you're not, because by the way, I delete quite a bit of hate in the comments section. And some of the hate in the comment sections are still there, but I do delete quite a bit of it. And the one thing that I would encourage is that you just do you. You like what you like. Don't care what these other people say, because these people are bad faith actors. Their whole purpose in life isn't to defend a person, because, hey, if Japanese people like it, screw their opinion. They're not American. It's what they think that matters. Which, no, that's not how this works. If Japanese people like this game because it's portraying them and their culture, guess what? Their opinion is absolutely the highest authority. There's no one more Japanese than the Japanese. Cut that out right there. But even so, just love what you love. Try to do it as respectfully as you can. And when you meet these kind of negative people, understand that their purpose is not to correct an injustice. They're not interested in that. They're interested in shutting you down and making sure that you can't enjoy anything that they themselves don't enjoy. It is okay not to like this game. It is okay to think that it is not that well done of a game. I would disagree with you, but it is okay to think that. It is not okay to assume that this game is racist, to put a political agenda on something that doesn't exist. Which brings me to a final moment. This game has moments where it is extremely modern, progressive. I'm going to try not to ruin this game for anybody who has not played, so there might be mild spoilers. There is a certain character. Her name is Masako. There were female samurai called Onobugeisha. I really feel like I should probably make that a historical video in and of itself as a special video. But they did exist. The way they are portrayed in this game is a little bit off. It gives them a lot more power than they might have had. I mean, one of the most famous Onobu Geisha Tomoe Gozen, there is debates about how much of this is myth and fantasy and romanticization versus actual history on this actual character in, well, history. But there are female characters in the game that are occupying positions that historically they would not have, such as an armor. And if I am wrong, please respectfully link me in the comments section, because I would actually be fascinated to find out that I am wrong on this. But in a field like that, you would not have you would not have seen a woman. And they exist. And that's the progressive modern edge in the game, which a lot of certain YouTubers that are gamers that are deemed as far right and right-leaning, they haven't said anything about it. And that's okay, because it's a good game. And the whole game is not centered around that. So they're not going to talk about that. Is it historically accurate? Well, no, but it's a game also. And if you've watched my previous video, I talked about this game. If you are playing a video game expecting 100% historical accuracy and expecting to truly learn about 100% historical events from a video game, you deserve to be disappointed. But they're not saying anything because they like the game and because it's not important. However, the people who are claiming that this game is racist, that this game has a litany of issues that, whatever, I don't want to use that shortened acronym. You know what they are, the Twitter people. But you never hear them say, good job, you're portraying and giving representation towards women. You never hear that. Instead, they're just completely blowing up about this game over stuff that just doesn't exist. And that's where I'll close the video, honestly, because I could probably ramble on and I'll just repeat myself over and over. But yes, next week there will be a regular episode of Japan at War. I hope to see you then. Catch you next time.